Okay.
Okay, so we've got some of the components set up here, and we're just gonna talk you through what they do.
Cool. So the first one are the cabins. So these are the additional cabins for the ship to let you have a bigger crew. Obviously, you need them so that you can have people on board to repel certain things, or if you've come across an abandoned space station, so you can actually go in there and have a look.
So everyone starts with a sort of a core crew cabin as well, don't they? Which is
Yeah.
in their player color.
So that's the blue player and the red player. And you'll notice they will have universal connections just to make it that much easier for you to start off.
Right. So there's three kinds of connections.
Yes.
This is actually great because this cabin has all three kinds here. You can see on the top that's a universal connector that can connect to anything else. You can see on the left there's a double connector, and on the right there's a single connector. So doubles can only connect to doubles and universals. Singles can only connect to other singles and universals. And when you're building the ship, there's sort of there's a rule that you can't have a connector next to a open space like that. That's illegal. You can have, though, connectors that just sort of end and aren't next to anything, sort of like that. Like if we didn't put one here, that would be fine. Obviously, on this ship, it's a bit more complicated because of this temporal rift down the middle, but that could go there. So this is also fine to have that going off there, so long as it's connected to the rest of the ship later. When you're building a ship, you have to connect pieces to things that are already there.
And then there's a spot check at the end just to make sure all of your connections are right.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is where I tend to go wrong.
So you'll get so we'll get people loaded up in these. Obviously, we need people to fly our ships. If all the people die, there's the ships. Then your mission's done because you're all dead.
It's all over. The next piece we've got are the engines, which are probably one of the most important parts if you want your ship to go anywhere. These are the things that take you wherever you want to go. So you've got the basic engine, which is just has to attach onto the ship, and there's a rule that it has to have empty space behind it, because obviously you can't put your engine right next to your crew module, or you're going to burn the crew module and everyone will die. But that's part of the joy of building it, really. Next we've got the cannons.
Wait, what? There's another kind of engine, isn't there?
Oh no, sorry. There's a double engine as well. So this is the more powerful engine that you need if you want to have it battery powered.
Right. So this counts basically as two engines.
Two engines.
But in order to turn it on at all, you need a battery to power it.
The basic ones are nicer because they just work.
Well, but then they don't get used far.
True. Next we've got the cannons, and these are usually for you've got a meteor coming towards you and you need to shoot it out of the sky. So you've got the basic cannon there, which is quite nice.
I don't actually have one of the double cannons out, but the double cannons exist as well.
Yeah. So basically they can point in any direction. You do want quite a few of them to go in different directions because you want to be able to take things on from any side.
Well, it's sort of it's a sort of a tactical decision you have to make, because if they're pointing forward, you can fire them at full strength, which is great if you're shooting against pirates,
slavers.
But but then you can only shoot down asteroids coming at you from the front. Whereas if they're pointing sideways, you can shoot down asteroids coming at you from the side, but they fire at, I think, half strength against pirates and slavers. So it's always sort of a bit of a...
Depends what you think you're going to come up against, really.
Yeah, it's always sort of a bit of a gamble.
And this has the same rule as the engines. You can't have something right in front of it, otherwise that's what you're shooting. But it does recommend you have as many cannons as possible, especially forward-pointing ones, but obviously with some of the later expansions that can change quite a bit. One of the other rules for the double cannons is, again, they're battery powered, so you might think, oh, I've got lots and lots of great guns, and you have no power to shoot them with.
Yep, make sure you stock up on batteries.
Which, ironically, is the next thing. It's the batteries. So these are your sources of power. The nice thing about these is that they can go pretty much anywhere. As long as you have them on your ship, you can spend the energy.
They don't need to be connected to the thing you're powering.
No.
Directly.
But you've got two variations of that. That's the double battery. You can also have the triple one. Guess which one people go for the most. And it's nice to have them anywhere on the ship because they don't have to be directly connected. One of the things you do want to remember, though, is how much stuff of yours needs a battery to power it. Next up, we've got the shield generators, which are lovely. Now, these can be used for when things go wrong. They can just deflect small meteors and hits from enemy cannons. You have to power them with a battery, though. So if you've got, like this one, has the side to the left and down, depending on where you put it, or to the right and up, It will protect you on those two sides and no other. So if you've got something coming the wrong way and you don't have a shield there, tough luck really. You may only need to put 2 of these down as long as they cover the other weak spots. But if you've got them on more than one side, it's nice in case somebody's ship falls off. You've got cargo holds next. So you can have it with 2 or with 3. And this is the source of your income. Basically, you're transporting cargo as well as everything else. You want to use them to store as much as you can. You don't really want to get rid of them. You've also got special cargo holders, which are for hazardous materials. So you need a special container for them. These can only carry 1 or 2. Basically, they're worth a bit more. They do some extra stuff. It's probably one of the better things for you not to break those, I think, if you're on the ship. Just speaking from someone who's probably going to be flying in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't break open the hazardous material.
Yes, it's got a very bad sign on it. We've also got the structural modules. These are kind of your anything piece. That's just if you happen to have some extra space and you can't make a connection. It's also good if you want to reinforce something. So if you've got a few vital bits that barely hang together, you can throw one of these in, give it some extra support. They don't really do anything else, to be honest. We've also got what the game refers to as odd bits with unknown purposes. So these are your alien crew modules. So we were saying earlier with the aliens give you some very nice bonuses. This is where they have to stay, so if you don't have one of these on board, you can't pick them up.
Well, no, that's actually a bit more complicated than that, isn't it? Because these are the life support systems that allow you to have aliens on your ship. So you actually have to connect them directly to a crew cabin, and then the alien can live in the crew cabin.
Yeah.
What this means is that you can't have humans in the crew cabin living there. So you've got you can choose to have one of the aliens, and there's a brown and a purple alien that come in the base set. And essentially the purple alien is sort of like a gunner who gives you +2 strength to your guns whenever you use them. And the brown alien's an engineer who gives you +2 strength to your engines whenever you use those.
Basically, again, you think, what am I going to need more of? Do I need some help with the guns or do I need help with the engines? Open space or aliens? Which one?
So what we've got there is all the components from the basic game. And now we'll just run you through the components that come in...
The expansion.
Yeah, well, the big expansion, which is the first one.
Oh, big expansion.
So now we're going to do the components from the big expansion, which is the first Galaxy Trucker expansion.
So first of all, we've got the luxury cabins. So these are the VIP cabins we were telling you about earlier. These people are so rich and bored, they're willing to pay just to travel around space. They can only hold 1 astronaut, never an alien, because aliens don't want to travel in them. If you give up the astronaut for any reason, it has to stay empty for the rest of the flight. So if you lose it, unfortunately. For the stasis chambers, that's next. We told you again about these. These have got the human popsicles inside them. So you've got the frosted crew members you can revive just if you need some more people on board.
Yeah, they're like backup crew members, basically.
Pretty much exactly that. If you want to wake them up, then obviously you have to make the decision to. It's good if you need to suddenly repel a load of people. Like slavers, for example.
It's also good if you come across like an abandoned space station or spaceship. You can get paid money or cargo or resources to sort of recover that, but you usually have to leave crew on it. So what it means is you can sort of eject 4 crew or whatever to go and take this abandoned space station and then wake up 4 more to replace them.
Yeah, it's a good point though that if they're still frozen and you run out of crew, you still lose because there's no one to wake them up.
Right, yeah, you have to wake them up while there's still people on board the ship.
Yeah, so fun. Next we've got the bidirectional cannons. So these are, if you really can't decide which way you want your gun to face, make it facing 2.
Yep, so these fire in 2 directions, but then the one that's not pointing forward will still suffer from being slightly less powerful. You'll also notice because they're green, they do require a battery to operate.
Basically the whole point there is just instead of putting 2 facing separate directions, you put 1 piece down instead. We've also got, for another little weird bit of connection, the cannon engine, which is awesome. Kind of. Now, that's obviously, it fires forward and it has the engine on the back, but it means you have to have 2 empty spaces, 1 in front and 1 behind it. Otherwise, you're blowing yourself up. Fortunately, though, you don't need any batteries to fire either of those. We've also got the mixed cargo hold, which a bit self-explanatory, really. It lets you hold a bit of both, some hazardous and some normal. Saves space, really. You've also got the battery hold, which is a lot of fun. Cargo and batteries. And if you've only got...
It's more economical on your space, really. Your limited space.
Well, why not? After that, we've also got the shield booster. Now, if you remember we were saying about the shields earlier, this is what you want to power them up supercharged. So it can only work if it's connected to the shield generator.
Directly connected to
Directly
shields.
connected. Otherwise, it's doing nothing. And this lets it protect your ship from a large meteor. So instead of it just being the small ones that bounce off, now the big ones bounce off too. It does, however, require 2 battery tokens to power up the shield, because you need 1 for the shield and 1 for the booster.
It's true.
Expensive. We've also got the cannon boosters, because we want to make the guns work that much better. This has to be, again, directly connected to the cannon for it to work. And when you play it, you need to determine the strength of your cannons. So you can boost them for, obviously, some battery power. Unfortunately, after you've boosted a cannon, it disintegrates. So, well, do you want to do it or not?
Right, the shield generator doesn't disintegrate the shields, does it?
No.
But the cannon booster and the engine booster both disintegrate those. Speaking of which, the engine booster.
Yeah, next up, the engine booster. Again, this is if you need a certain amount of engines to cross the empty space or just carry on forward and you don't have it anymore, this is your home free stretch, hopefully.
Again, needs to be connected to engines.
And where would we be without the furnace, which is just great. So the furnace is your way of going, do you know what, I have no batteries left, but I'd like to have power. And you can burn anything, basically your cargo.
Yeah, you can burn your cargo.
Yeah,
you can't burn crew.
Well, not for power anyway. You can burn it, and anything connected to it can then work for that turn instead. So if you've got tons and tons of cargo and you've got no power left, shove it in the furnace, and then your engines or your cannons or your shield will work again.
So this actually replenishes batteries, right? It doesn't just power battery-powered things.
No, but it's good because it means you can look and think, okay, I need extra power for this. Maybe not this turn, but I'm probably going to meet some encounters that give me some extra cargo. So I'll just burn 2 bits of cargo, have that space in there, regenerate the power. Next adventure card is, oh, I've got some cargo to pick up, and basically just keep you going for that much longer. Next, we've got the indestructible plating, which is just great. This is basically the hardest part of your ship. Everything bounces off so well. Now, they don't really do anything other than just protect your ship, but one of the things it's good for is if you have a massive meteor heading towards you and there's nothing you can do to stop it, just hits that and bounces off instead. It's one of the nicer parts, I think.
Yeah, I mean, indestructible plating is great because nothing can get through it. On the other hand, it takes up a spot in the ship, and then it only helps you if, things go into that one column.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it can be sabotaged. So if your opponent is potentially trying to ruin your ship, of course they are, they can't get rid of it for you the easy way.
It's going to be hard enough without us sabotaging each other.
I think at this point, sabotage is not the best idea. Next, we've got the life support modules for the blue aliens. So we've got a new set of aliens for it. I believe they're the diplomats, aren't they?
Well, the blue aliens, actually, what happens with them is you put you install them in your ship, and then you've got this deck of cards here, and they all have special powers, and whoever finished first can choose first which blue alien they want to have on their ship. And these are actually great. Like the techie lets you have sort of get extra out of your batteries. So what happens with him is if you have at least 1 battery token left, your first battery use per adventure card is free, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And the telepathic guru is another great one. What happens with him is that all of your crew members count as
armed, basically.
Yeah.
Does it for when you've got to repel borders? So you've got the alien comes on board and starts trying to kill everyone. Normally you need an armory to fight him back. Telepathic guru, you don't need an armory. They're just armed and dangerous.
But they have to be on their own. So I think it mostly applies to the other aliens and the luxury crew members.
Yeah.
Right, because crew cabins all have 2 people in them, except for the luxury ones and the alien ones, which have 1.
Because they don't like sharing.
So the cyan aliens are actually really neat. So you probably want to try and get one of those in.
And then the last piece is just one of the other combination pieces. So you've got some cargo and some indestructible plating.
So that's pretty cool. Great.
Yeah, and
And so now we'll run through the expansion pieces from another big expansion.
it carries on.